Welcome to the deep dive from Defiant, the on-chain lifestyle sports brand. We're your shortcut to figuring out what's really moving the needle in DeFi, entertainment, and sports.
And today we've got 5 key things on the radar, starting with a pretty big potential move down in Texas.
Yeah, Texas and Bitcoin reserves. Then we'll look at Bitcoin's new all-time high, but maybe not driven by who you'd expect.
Right, and connected to that, just how much Bitcoin is actually held in the U.S. It's surprising.
Okay. Then something different, a new crypto phone trying to blend into daily life.
And finally, a big funding round focusing on digital identity, Worldcoin.
All right, lots to cover. Let's get into it. Texas first.
Yeah, let's kick off there. So the Texas House passed this bill, Senate Bill 21. It basically opens the door for a state-managed Bitcoin reserve.
Okay, so Texas holding Bitcoin directly, is that common?
Well, not yet, but they wouldn't be the first to consider it. Arizona and New Hampshire have explored similar ideas.
And the goal here is what? Diversification.
Pretty much. Economic resilience, diversifying state investments. If the governor signs off, they hold actual Bitcoin, offline and cold storage.
For how long?
The plan says for at least 5 years.
So for you listening, this is kind of a signal, right? Bitcoin potentially moving into more traditional state finance frameworks.
Exactly. It shows growing acceptance at a governmental level. Could definitely influence other states if Texas goes through with it.
Okay, moving on then. Bitcoin hitting, what was it, $109,500, a new record.
Yep, May 21st, 2025, smashed the previous high. But the why is interesting here.
Not just everyone jumping in.
Doesn't seem like it. The main drivers appear to be institutional money flowing in, maybe a weaker U.S. dollar helping things, and generally more positive vibes around potential U.S. crypto regulation.
So where's the retail investor, the everyday person?
That's the twist. If you look at, Google search trends for Bitcoin, interest is super low, back to bear market 2022 low.
Huh. So this isn't a retail frenzy pushing the price up. It's the big players.
Seems that way. It's an institutional-led rally, which might mean, different market dynamics, maybe less wild volatility compared to those retail surges.
Potentially steadier, maybe, based on longer-term strategies rather than quick sentiment shifts.
Could be. And that ties into the next point, actually, U.S. ownership.
Right. You mentioned that was surprising.
Yeah, a report from River suggests Americans own something like 40% of all Bitcoin.
40%? Wow, that's a huge concentration.
It is. And get this, U.S. companies hold almost 95% of the Bitcoin owned by publicly traded firms globally. Plus, about 14% of Americans own some Bitcoin.
So the U.S. is really dominant in this space.
Massively.
Yeah.
Which, for you, it means U.S. regulations, U.S. market sentiment. It's all going to have a huge impact. It's where a big part of the ecosystem lives.
Okay, so institutions, U.S. dominance. Let's switch gears a bit. Solana Mobile, a new phone.
Yeah, there's a second attempt called the Seeker, and it comes with something called a DROP token.
Okay, a token tied to a phone. How does that work?
The idea is to integrate blockchain incentives directly. So you use the phone, do certain activities, and you can earn these DROP tokens.
Huh. Like rewards for using the phone's features.
Exactly. It's trying to make decentralized apps, DeFi, all that stuff, more accessible and maybe more engaging by baking it right into the mobile experience.
Interesting angle. Trying to embed crypto into everyday habits. We'll have to see if that catches on.
Definitely one to watch. See how users react to earning crypto just by, using their phone.
All right, final point. Worldcoin. They just raised a lot of money.
They did. $135 million through selling their WLD token. And the goal is expansion, specifically in the U.S.
And Worldcoin is the eye-scanning identity thing, right? Biometrics.
That's the one. They're focused on biometric-based digital identity verification. This funding is meant to help roll that tech out more widely.
Which matters because, well, digital identity is a growing challenge, isn't it?
Absolutely. As more of our lives move online, having secure, reliable ways to prove who you are is crucial. Worldcoin is trying to be a major player in that space.
So their expansion could really shape how we handle online identity verification in the future.
It definitely could. It brings up big questions about privacy, security, and how we establish trust digitally.
Okay, so let's wrap this up. We've seen Texas potentially making a significant Bitcoin play.
A Bitcoin price high, driven mainly by institutions, not so much retail this time.
And the U.S. solidifying its huge role in Bitcoin ownership and the broader market.
Plus, these pushes into integrating crypto into daily life, like the Solana phone, and tackling digital identity with Worldcoin's expansion.
So I guess the big question hovering over all this is, how does that balance between institutional money and maybe quieter retail interest play out long-term for Bitcoin?
Right. And how smoothly, or maybe awkwardly, will these new technologies like crypto phones and biometric ID actually weave themselves into our everyday routines? Those are the threads to keep pulling on.
Definitely things to think about. Thanks for taking this deep dive with us on the Defiant podcast, powered by Defiant. Stay curious, and we'll catch you next time.